My name is Nancy Tai Aragbai. I am the founder and the visionary behind the LeadHERship Gala. I'm so excited. It's one of our culminating events with Strategic Solutions Global. And I can't be more excited because this is all about honoring women with big visions, women who are literally carrying community on their back and not trying, but they are changing the world in their way. I say all the time, women lead everywhere, every day, in every industry. And Portia Richardson is one of those women who are truly leading and transforming our community as we speak. So thank you so much, Portia, for being here today. Can you just introduce yourself to the audience, who you are and what you do?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here to be a part of this amazing vision. I am Portia Richardson. I'm a native of Washington, D.C. I am a global impact strategist and the executive director and founder of an international nonprofit called Tumani DC Incorporated. Tumani means hope in Swahili, and we provide transformative social and emotional learning, wellness based, and vocational programming to young people and adults across the US as well as in Ghana. And so I'm excited because this is our year of growth, our year of expansion, and looking for ways to really allow more youth and adults to have access to our programs. So, how timely for us to connect.
Very, very timely. I'm excited because one, you mentioned international nonprofit. And when I hear of visions and I hear of the work that many people are doing, honestly, you don't really hear people talk about global work on that level. And so I want to hear more about how did this become international? You mentioned mentioned that you're a global impact strategist. When and how did your work and your vision become a global movement?
Yeah, so I was a teacher for almost 11 years. I taught in alternative ed across DC. And in 2020, during COVID, God told me to leave my job. I initially was disobedient and did not leave my job. And I stayed and I stayed. And it was, let's just say, I should have left, right? When he told me to leave. And so when I took that leap of faith into this work full time, to grow the organization, to grow the mission and the vision, I was celebrating. I'm like, okay, God, I was obedient this time. I took that leap of faith. My organization is doing really well. We're impacting kids. And he was like, bigger.
Hmm.
Time to go global. There are kids and adults across the world that need this program, that need this organization. And so I thought I was connecting with a fashion designer in Ghana. Never knew that this guy was like, wait, I've been looking at your Instagram and you do a whole lot more than what you told me you do.
Yeah.
So how can we get this curriculum in Ghana? And it was just like divine alignment because God had already showed me that our organization would go global. And so for a person that I had connected with on fashion to be the person that connected me to all of these school leaders in Ghana, it was definitely like God showing me that like not only will I give you the vision, I'm going to also give you the people, the resources, the tools, and the strategy to see it through.
I absolutely love that. And someone who is all about obedience. I too, even this platform that you're on now was a download and a vision from the Lord. And he said, go. And I went. You make it sound very easy, right? The Lord gives you this vision. He says bigger. You say, okay. Yes, you had a moment when you weren't obedient, but things just started falling in place. Can you talk a little bit more about just your emotions and the challenges in saying yes to going global? Again, you're in DC. He says, no, there's more kids. And then this Ghana does pop up. Can you talk a little bit more about just your experience and the challenges and even saying yes and then what you experienced on your journey?
Oh my goodness. So number one, um, there was a lot of doubt, right? Like a whole lot of doubt and a whole lot of fear. Just even taking the leap from my job, like looking at my paycheck. I always tell people when that first direct deposit didn't hit, that's when I knew things were real. And it was literally this posture of like solely depending on the Lord
Mm.
when I didn't have this cushion to fall back on. It was literally all or nothing. You're going to do this work and you don't have a backup plan anymore. So it was that fear and doubt, but also imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
In my work, I went from being a teacher to now I am leading teachers and principals and district leaders and superintendents. Like
Love
that's
that.
who's in my trainings. I'm serving as a consultant to those individuals because he said to me, you're not going to just work with kids. Your work is now shifting to the adults that serve those kids. And that's what exponential impact looks like for you is you
Mm.
went from teaching 60 kids to now you're working with hundreds of adults who each teach 60 kids. And so that's what the impact looked like for me. So with that, I like I always tell people imposter syndrome had me in a chokehold. It was
Ooh.
literally like when I remember a time where people would invite me to events and I would accept the invite and then I would like find a reason to like have to back out of it.
Mm.
And it was like, no, you're not sick. No, you're fine. No, you can go. And I realized that like it was imposter syndrome that was saying like, oh Lord, you think you smarter than these people? Like that's your former boss. Like how are you able to go in there and teach this? Like how are they going to listen to you? What is it about you that's going to make them want? And I think that as Black women, especially, we've always been in this culture of feeling like we had to prove ourselves to the
Mm.
world. But
Mm.
imagine being in those spaces and allowing that fear and that a doubt to set in and where you literally carry this imposter with you every day. So that was my biggest challenge is like overcoming imposter syndrome and like this mental shift that had to happen with me for me to really align myself with the identity that God created for me. Not the identity that the world says, Portia, you're amazing, you're this person, but really deep down inside, I'm still battling this imposter. But it was really like, no, I'm all that God told me that God says that I am. Um, it doesn't matter what room you put me in. I know that God sent me there. And so
Mm.
I'm going to show up as my whole true and authentic self. Really knowing that I don't have to change the way I talk. I don't have to change the way, really, I don't even change the way I dress. It's like, this is who I am. I am the whole woman. I am whole as I am, as God sent me here. And so that has really allowed me to ditch that imposter and to really show up as my true self and be and have the confidence to do this work. But it was definitely we think that because we have these skills and we have this expertise and these experiences that it's going to be easy, but it's half the battle is mental. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is, and I don't even know if, and you let me know your imposter syndrome journey, but did it dissipate, or are you still every time there's a new level of elevation, kind of having to reaffirm yourself of where God has called you to be?
It's literally every day.
Yeah.
Every day I have to wake up and reaffirm myself. Every
Hmm.
day is a day of yes, right? Like you don't just say yes once. Like every single day, they say every level there's another devil, right? And so like
Yeah.
with every level, there's another challenge to face, right? And so imposter, it shows up differently in every space, right? And so like when we're talking to kids, sometimes we can feel like the enemy, like the biggest tactic of the enemy is to cause us to live in guilt and shame. And so
Mm.
sometimes we go in spaces we're like, oh, well, I'm not perfect enough. I'm still working on that. So how am I going to be in this space talking about this? But no, it's like I say that out loud actually. So the very things that the enemy try to get me to fall into, this fear, this doubt, this shame, I actually use that right against him. I'm like, hey, I'm coming in here, y'all. This morning, I had a rough morning. This is what happened. I'm still struggling with this. There is something about being your authentic self and sharing the challenges that you're still grappling through. And through that, that's how God gets the glory, because the enemy wants us to feel like we're not enough, right? But when we come into a space and we say, like, nah, I still make mistakes, but this is where I'm growing. And these are the tools and the strategies that I'm personally using to overcome that. So I think like, that is also an active part of my life now too, is understanding that I don't have to be perfect to be purposeful, right? I don't have to do that. And so that is just it's every day. Every day is waking up and choosing that and saying yes. And every day is reaffirming myself and saying, like, I am enough. You are qualified because God called you to do this. And in every space you enter, it's because I sent you there. So show up as that.
I absolutely love that. One, every day is you are choosing to say you are choosing to say yes on
Every
this journey of impact. It is not easy. And I always say everybody wants change. Very few people are willing to lead it.
mm,
And when I think about your work and the work of other women who are being honored this year, it's not easy, but you choose to say yes every day.
mm-hmm.
What is it about you or the work or your mindset that allows you to say yes? I say these women are trailblazers. They are choosing to be a mantle of transformation. They are choosing to carry a community on their back. They are choosing to carry change on their back. And I'm telling you, there's not a lot of people who are willing to say yes because it's very, very uncomfortable. Change is extremely uncomfortable. What enables you to say yes?
Who one, it's that I know that this is who God called me to be, like, without a doubt. There is nothing in my mind and in my heart that causes me to doubt that this is not what God wants me to do. So I know that this is who God called me to be, and this is what God wants me to do. And so being in that posture of purpose is what also pushes me to say yes every single day. But also understanding that who I see what's happening in our world every single day. I see the evil, I see the darkness, right? And like, if not me, then who? We
Mm,
don't have a whole lot of time, like, to get this thing right. The people are depending on our yes. When I think about the young people who literally have come to me and said, like, if you didn't come here, if this program did not exist, I almost did this to myself, or I almost went this way. And so someone else's yes depends on my yes. And I
yeah,
know that that seems so heavy, but when you think about impact, that's what impact really looks like, is that you can't afford to say no when you know that other people lives are literally dependent on. And this is why, like, as a society, we really have to stop playing with this thing, right?
yeah,
Because, like, it's not a joke, it's not for money, it's not for play, it's not for Instagram, for likes, for followers. It's really, the kingdom of God is depending on your yes and on you making that next move and taking that leap that God told you to take. So I'm not going to die fruitless. When I leave this earth, I will be empty, because I know that I've done all the things that God called me to do. I am not going to leave my legacy behind and it's just dormant, right? Like, I can't. It has to be fruitful. That is our purpose. That is our mission on this earth, is to be disciples and to bring people closer to God, not through just our work, but through our walk as well. And
yeah,
so when young people see me, I need them to see, like, Miss Portia's not just saying this, like, she's actually living this. This is her life. This is a lifestyle. She is light. And so that pushes me every day. Also, I've lost a lot of young people in my
mm,
journey. Like, my area, DC, is has been really crime ridden lately, and I've lost a lot of young people to homicide, to prison, and I see what happens when they don't have access to the resources and opportunities that God has provided through the work that I'm able to do. So that also just pushes me to be better and to do better for our community.
I absolutely love that. You talked about the posture of purpose is what keeps you going, and I absolutely and totally agree. And the days that I do put my 2 week resignation letter, and sometimes day of resignation letter, I'm able to pick it back up because I'm in the posture of purpose. Can you just quickly share, how did you get into that space? I know that a lot of people want purpose but often don't find it. Can you just quickly share, like, how did you come across purpose?
Yeah. So one, I just remember being in a really dark space in my life. And I had started hiring all of these coaches, business coaches, like all types of coaches. I was just investing in all this coaching because of course, like we say, find a mentor, find a coach, find a consultant. And so I did that. But I just remember a lot of them just constantly talking about hacks and business hacks, and you got to post 19 times a day, and you got to post at this time, you got to do this, and this is how you get this many followers, and this. I just didn't feel connected because it felt like a hamster just like running in a wheel trying to figure out how to get more likes, more followers, more this, more that, more attention, more. And it was like, God, I am yearning for something more than this. I know that this is what the rest of the world is doing, but this does not feel fulfilling or rewarding. And this doesn't bring anybody closer to you because I have 100,000 followers, right? Like none of that. I didn't connect with that, with those ideologies. And so that's really how the impactpreneur movement birthed. He gave me that terminology, is impactpreneur. He's like, you're an impactpreneur and you are driven by purpose, by impact, not just income and profit. You're driven by purpose and impact. And if you haven't been able to find that, that's why it was so divine when we connected. You got to create it. You have to create that community that you're looking for. And he started to show me how, like, all the suffering that I went through in my life, like growing up with a dad that was on drugs most of my life, in and out of prison, and being a young girl growing up in Southeast DC, and, witnessing so much murder and drug use and substance abuse. And he was like, that's how you got in the classroom. That's why you feel so passionate about those kids. Those kids are you. Like,
Yeah,
you live that life that you're seeing them endure right now. And so your pain has become your purpose. And I
yeah,
think that some people victimize themselves and they look at the pain and they say, oh, woe is me, I went through all this. Yes, I am not minimizing the pain because it hurt and trauma is real. But God did not allow you to go through that just to go through that. You think about Job, right? Like, in the end, he's going to get the glory. So, how does he get the glory? He gets the glory by you turning that pain into something that is purposeful, because now you are uniquely positioned to serve this very people that he's called you to serve because of your journey and what you went through and what you endured. So that's really it was that realization of like looking at connecting the dots of my life and the trauma and the struggle, and realizing how, like, already naturally, because most of us are already naturally doing these things anyway. We
mm,
just don't realize it, or it may not be the thing that we think is going to bring us the most money, to be
yeah,
very honest.
yeah,
It may not be the thing that's going to be easy. It's going to be the thing that's going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to be the thing that you're going to have to really depend on God to get the resources for it. And so it's like, how bad, not how bad do you want it, but how bad do you want to be in his will?
yeah,
How bad, or how much are you willing to die to yourself in order to do the work that he called you to do? And when you get in that posture, there will be no lack. But we got
yeah.
to get in it first. Like, you got to get in the posture first. Right. And so, like,
Posture for
yeah.
sure. You are truly an example. And I said, we made no mistake when you were selected to be a Trailblazer honoree. And one thing that you said is that you are light. And if you look at the icon next to us, and that has been displayed on all of our marketing, we were very intentional about creating an icon that was a symbol of the work that women are doing, and they are a light. So that hat was designed to be a radiating light. We are the sun, essentially sun rays, and when we say yes, more yeses are created, and more yeses are created from that, and more yeses are created from that. So essentially, the light does not stop. It's
Mm.
There's an infinity. There is impact that goes so far beyond that what we can even see. And so, yes, how do we say yes so we can be a light unto the world? And that's who you are. And I say thank you for that. It is not easy. And so when you understand that being on earth and being in purpose is actually not about yourself, then you're able to embrace the discomfort so you can create the yeses for others. That's what it's really about. It's like when you leave this earth, what story do you want to be told about you, and who do you intend to impact? And there is no limit to our impact, honestly. And you are an example of that. You're living it. And so I thank you. And this
Thank
platform is
you.
also about showing what women are doing. I said, changing the world shouldn't be this hard. I think it should be easier. I think that we should have more people rallying behind us. And I always say, women, Black women are doing amazing things with very limited resources, very limited support, very limited visibility, very limited money. We are just doing the work and we are literally kicking doors down. I do want to give an opportunity for you to make the ask. Again, this platform and what God showed me is literally creating a platform and a community for women and in a space that sheds a light on the women and the work that they're doing so they can continue to do greater work. And so what do you need in this moment? Like, what can help you take your impact to the next level?
Yeah, so I have a community called Impactpreneur University, and it was the Impact Institute, but now it's Impactpreneur University. And in that space, I coach impactpreneurs, purpose driven leaders, individuals who feel stuck too, who are like, I know God gave me a vision. I know I have a greater purpose. I just don't know where to start. I don't know if this is going to be a project, a program, a nonprofit, or organization. Most of them end up taking the nonprofit route because it just aligns with the impactpreneur journey most of the time. But I work with them to really think about their vision, get their vision, write the vision and make it plain, is what the Bible tells us. So I help them to write out their vision, to really think about what it's going to look like in action. Who are they going to serve? What communities are they going to impact? What are their programs, their products, their services? And so it's a very intimate space. It's not something where I'm, coaching hundreds of thousands of people at a time, because I really believe that this is kingdom building. And this is how it's going to allow people to have access to really do the work that they want to do on a higher level, that they were called to do on a higher level. And so, if you are struggling, you have a vision, you have an idea, even if it's just in that seed form, right? Because that's how God gives it to us, in seed form, so that we can also grow with our vision. And so if you, wherever you are in your journey, because I know it can be very intimidating, this community is for you. The Impactpreneur University, it's a hub, it's a space, it's a safe space for leaders, for impactpreneurs to fail forward, for us to bring our ideas, for us to share the weight that we carry with doing this work, the heaviness, the frustrations, the doubt, the fear, the imposter syndrome, but also for us to develop, to develop, to plant, to sow, to also to build and to collaborate, and to see, to scale our impact to the next level on a global scale. So I take people to Ghana. I have a group that I'm bringing to Ghana, a group of impactpreneurs that are going to Ghana in February, and they're all going to, for the first time, take their vision, their mission, their organizations, and partner with some of our schools there, partner with some of the organizations there, and see their impact on a global scale. And so if you can envision it, if you can see it, you can definitely continue to scale it. And I think that's the barrier. And so I'm looking to grow that community. Right now, I am recruiting 10 impactpreneurs that's interested in either launching, developing, or scaling their impactful ideas. So that is the biggest thing for me, is like getting people in this community so that they can get out of their own way, and that they can say yes to the
I
calling and to the purpose
I
that God.
absolutely love it. If you are watching this, if you're hearing this, Please share. They can find it at portiaricardson.com. You're able to access our impactpreneur community. It may not be you, but sometimes just sharing the information with another person, sharing it on your social media platforms, you'll be surprised at what that can do. And I am going to ask that you all, if you're listening to this work does not get done without people believing in the LeadHERship movement. I am asking, one, if you want to have a fabulous time and be in a space where you can connect with women like Portia, people who are making an impact, truly, literally trying to change the world and putting community on her back, I ask that you attend. You'll meet amazing men and women who are doing amazing things for our world. You can get a ticket at leadhershipgala.com. You can share this information, or you can simply make a contribution. Leadhershipgala.com. You can make a donation, you can get a ticket, or you can DM and volunteer, give an in-kind donation, do something, and don't sit back and watch, but be a part of the movement that people are making to better our world. So I thank you, thank you, thank you, Portia, for being who you are and saying yes to your vision and choosing the yes every single day, because it's not easy. And I thank those who are a part of the leadership movement by purchasing tickets and making donations. Nothing is too small. And I thank you for being a part, because this work doesn't happen without you all. Thank you. And Portia, I'll see you on November
Thank you.
3rd.
Yes, I
Yes.
am looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. And you have a wonderful evening.
You too.
All right. Bye bye.